You got a lot of work to do, host and speak. David and Lisa Medina, Dave and Karen Marovitz, Aaron and Amanda Spiro, and Joni and Freddie Tansky. Thank you all. I don't know if I was supposed to, but I feel like I have a small word of introduction for each speaker. So my relationship with Meir Hackenbroch, who I first met as Jason, goes back to his early days at MTC through the Family Store and Getsy. And it's been an incredible and inspiring, I'm not going to give away all our intimate secrets. Some people here know them with a few Verbrengans and a couple other interesting moments, but it led to a very quick path that I'm sure you'll hear about from Meir. But it's been amazing to watch. It's inspiring, and I hope that maybe I'll say it after when I thank you. But after we hear your words, I'm hoping that it'll be inspiring, and everyone else could be as inspired as I am. So, without further ado, Meir Hackenbroch. I moved up the microphone for you.
Wow. Jump to everyone. Jump to Chaim. Thank you very much, Evan, for that wonderful introduction. Evan and I have a very special relationship. I mean, I'm wearing tzitzis today because of him. Maybe we'll get into that. Why? Because of the Fabregas. If you stick around. Okay, so good evening and good jump to one and to all. This is a very special evening. And I'd like to thank the Rabbanim here for giving me the opportunity to stand here tonight in front of my wife, my family, and friends for showing up here in support of me tonight. I've been coming here for over 10 years now, and I've often wondered if that would ever be me up here one day. Lesson being, be careful what you wish for. First off, a disclaimer. This was not written in any part by ChatGPT or any other AI. Second, some background and context. So I grew up in Dollard in a home that I would describe as modern Orthodox. Capital M, lowercase o. We never drove on Shabbos. We kept a fully kosher home, separate dishes and sinks. My mother went to the mikveh. My father would daven at a 6:30 a.m. minyan every morning since his father died, and I joined him on occasion when I felt up to the challenge. On both sides of my parents, my mother's parents, the dor vador from generation to generation, grew up in Morocco. And on my father's side, a long line of German ancestry. Rabbis, scribes, shochets are all part of my lineage. The war brought my parents to England and my mother's parents to Israel. They both grew up in very Orthodox households, both in London for my father and Bnei Brak for my mom. And they both went to Orthodox schools. Their strictness and rigidity of their Jewish observance were strong in those days, so after breaking free in their respective countries, they took advantage of a few new liberties. Today, around 75% of both sides of my family, cousins, uncles, and aunts, many of you most not know, have done teshuvah and live fully Orthodox lives. My first cousin in London was called by his bar mitzvah, and today goes by Pinny, and is a pulpit rabbi in Woodside Park Synagogue to a community of over 1,400 Jews. My mother is the eldest of 8. Thanks. My mother is the eldest of 8. Her younger sister has 8 children, 7 consecutive girls and 1 boy, and all of them are committed and fully observant. I have to add that even my cousin here tonight, she's here tonight, and she took the Lubavitch route before I did. But I share this with you, all of you here tonight, to show that the idea of tshuva wasn't foreign to my family. Everyone had basically done it in their own way. But Chabad, untrimmed beards, long black coats, strings hanging out the side of your pockets, flying everywhere, and fedoras. This was not in my lineage. On the contrary, I grew up with on my father's side a world away from Chabad. Customs, waiting 3 hours before meat and milk, square machine matzahs are the shmura matzahs, and washing our hands before hamotzi and going straight into hagafen. Washing our hands right before hagafen and going straight into hamotzi. When I spent a Pesach with my family from London, they were very particular about this. They even got upset with me for not following their customs. You can do this. You're a Hackenbroch, and that's what you do. That's not what the Hackenbrochs do, I remember hearing. I later learned from our resident scholar, Rabbi Levi knew, that these indeed are bona fide Yekish German customs, and he found a textual source for them. So how did I end up here, so far away from my family customs? This is not what they look like in Morocco, and it's not what they look like in Germany either. How did Chassidus Chabad enter my life and affect me? Well, tomorrow, I believe, is the 12th annual Drinks and Dreidels party. A party I first stepped into. Oh, if I get to it. A party I first stepped into 11 years ago. And I remember it like it was yesterday. It was the greatest party I had ever been to in my life. Tons of food, friends, all my friends, lighting, music, premium, open bars, scotch, single malt, meat carving stations. It had everything, decor, ambiance, good vibes. You've never seen a party like this in your life. And then a menorah lighting where everybody held a candle. What a nice and cute touch. Enters a booming voice. I'm Rabbi Getzi, and welcome to Drinks and Dreidels. And if you'd like to attend more of these events, come and talk to me. Instinctively, I made a beeline. He told me to come volunteer at the family store, and so I did. And Rabbi Getzi wasn't even living here yet. He would buy these bulk flight tickets in a package and fly in and out, just to man the family store twice a week and maintain a relationship with the volunteers. Once he moved here, he invited me to his house for Shabbos, a humble duplex on McDonald that had a really nice feel to it. The majesty of their Shabbos table was something out of fantasy. Every food you could imagine, in colorful china and servingware, all black and white checkerboard that made you feel like it was a scene out of Alice in Wonderland. As time went on, I became a regular at their Shabbos table. Week after week, sometimes there were a ton of guests, a bunch of my best friends, a bunch of new faces, and sometimes just me. I enjoyed it so much that it became the highlight of my week. The moment I would look forward to all week. I really started to enjoy my new life of luxury. And could you blame me? Elegant meals, swanky parties, lavish simchas, and beautiful people in a beautiful establishment such as this. I felt like I hit the jackpot, living the life of the rich and famous without having to be rich and famous. One moment I'll never forget was one of the silliest things you could imagine. It was a Friday night meal where it was just us. And by just us, I mean myself and the Markowitzes. We're family at this point. Just us. Getzi was about to make Kiddush, and he couldn't find his hat. After giving up on the search, he found a hockey helmet. He put it on in his head and proceeded. Yom HaShishi. Everyone was giggling, laughing, and struggling to keep decorum, Shana included. Except for me. I remember being struck by this moment, thinking, wow, this is so real. A line that often rings in my head is one shared with me by Adam Spiro. We don't take ourselves seriously, we take the mission seriously. And as silly as this sounds, this is the embodiment of what I discovered in Chassidus. It's not about the black and white halacha of what you can and cannot do. It's about a relationship. And Hashem wants to have a relationship with you more than anything else in the entire world. He wants to laugh and giggle with you and be there for you in every moment. It is, in fact, the purpose why he created this entire universe. The sun, the moon, and the stars, all the galaxies and all the heavens, is just to have a connection with you. And this was the difference that I had growing up without Chassidus. One morning, I was driving to school at John Abbott College and got pulled over by the cops for speeding. I called my parents to tell them about it, and they said, "Did you put on your tefillin this morning?" "No, I was in a rush." "I see, that's why you got pulled over." That was the Yirah Shamayim I grew up with. Literally, fear of heaven. People joke about being struck by lightning bolts from as if coming to strike them down by sin. But this was not an uncommon view. And if you didn't get struck, he was merciful this time. But don't test him, he'll get you. He's watching you. I learned that Chassidus teaches true fear of heaven. True fear of heaven is actually a form of love. Love and fear sound seemingly on the opposite sides of the spectrum, but in fact, they are not. Love is a yearning, a desire to be close, to be one, to feel Hashem's embrace. And fear, well, fear is disrupting that feeling of closeness. How often have you felt with your spouse or someone near and dear to you that, we're in a really good place right now, and it took me a lot of work to get here, and I don't want to disrupt that goodness that we have right now. That's real Yirah Shamayim. Chassidus is often compared to wine. The romance of the Torah as gets explained it to me. And I, being a hapless romantic myself, this really spoke to me. My parents were both very romantic people. They were a perfect couple. They loved watching romance movies, Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, and the like. My mom would always cry towards the end of a movie. She loves you, she loves you. And my dad would sit there giving her tissues, enjoying her company, and would say, "You liked that one? That was a good one, George." I remember one Shabbos in my late teens, I had set up a first date with a girl I met at camp, Saturday night. Sitting next to my father in shul that morning, he said, "What are you going to wear tonight? You going to go out like that?" So that evening, I show up to this mansion, bouquet of red roses in hand, suit and tie. The mother opens the door, welcomes me in, and her daughter is there, wearing gray root sweatpants and camel Uggs. And they start laughing. Wow, all this just to go to Cavendish Mall for a movie. I wore it proudly, without even batting an eye. I said, "It's my privilege and an honor." Only when I returned home and I told my sisters about what happened did I realize my mistake. They're both here tonight, thank you. My introduction to Chabad in the early years of my involvement didn't come from any depth of any text or the understanding of any concepts. It started off as just having a good time. Farbrengens were awesome because you were there with good people, having good snacks, singing songs that I happened to be familiar with because of my dad listened to Hasidic melodies on YouTube that would blare throughout the house. My favorite times at a Farbrengen would be when people would get really into them. It would start slow, and then it'd pick up, and pick up, and pick up, until before you know it, people are dancing on tables. Literally dancing on tables. This is insane. Could you imagine the rabbi of the shul dancing on a table, and it's not even Simchas Torah, regular week? I was scared to even tell my parents that this is what happened. What kind of gangsha was running over there? So I kept what a Farbrengen is secret. I just described it vaguely as a good time with people from shul. The turning point for me, when the thrill of these Farbrengens subsided, was when, so the way it went in my head was, classic Farbrengen is eating, yeah, drinking, yeah, singing songs, yeah. Boring talking part that you have to put up with until you start singing and get crazy. And this is the way Farbrengens were for a long time. My turning point came about in Ma'ayanot, the yeshiva I went to in Jerusalem, when I began to seriously learn Chassidus and began to see and feel how the teachings were so deeply personal and so relevant. When I first arrived, I would just show up to Chassidus class at Ma'ayanot because that was the course curriculum. I didn't want to become a bad student. After all, I quit my job, sold my car, got rid of my apartment for all this, just to be here. So I stayed the course every morning, 7:30 a.m. Whether I understood what was happening or not, I was there. Slowly, the ideas penetrated and illuminated. One morning, we began a particular Hasidic discourse, Meir, as it's so called. And the Meir explains this principle that everything comes from Hashem. And to be able to recognize the methods that Hashem uses to distribute His blessings. So, for example, if Hashem wanted to bless you with an abundance of money, which I bless you that He all does, if He chose to do it via your employer who signs your paycheck, then your employer is just that, merely the agent which blessings flow through. This concept had a profound effect on how I viewed my own livelihood. For 3 years, out of my first job out of college, my manager denied my request to leave early on Fridays. He insisted I first had to earn my stripes, put in my time, before asking for any time off. And I said, okay, this is what being a grown-up is. What do I know? Only after learning this Meir did I realize that no one is in control of your paycheck other than Hashem. I was working for the wrong boss. This shift from viewing my manager as a boss to recognizing that Hashem as the ultimate one, the true boss, transformed my perspective. Knowing that Hashem is intimately involved in every detail of my life, and that I could trust in Hashem, was really every fear, every anxiety, anything concern that I have, just put it on Hashem, offload it on Him, was one of the most relieving principles I could have learned. I just got to do what I got to do, and Hashem takes care of the rest. And that's what brought me here today. Married to my amazing wife, Devorah Leah. Our two beautiful daughters, Rapozisel and Shprinzer. Our Shlichus and Joliet. and the ability to navigate life on a connected plane. Thank you all and bless you all for a good Yom Tov. Thank you.
Shkoyach Meir. Beautiful words. He makes it sound easy. Only 12 years.